Okay. Clap sync. Hello. Welcome back to another long-awaited episode of the Anim Breakdown. My name is Will, and I will be talking today about Hotel Transylvania for Transformania. Just for a bit of a deep dive into my shots, the stuff I worked on, my process, the team, the experiences, and everything in between, just for future me to look back on and remember fondly, and for friends and family to give them a little bit of insight, but mostly for me. So yeah, let's jump right into it. It was a crazy film. It was awesome. My first feature film. I moved to Canada in 2018, end of 2018, worked at Icon on a few shows and worked at Mainframe on a show, and then got the call up to make it to feature, which was kind of my goal in moving here the whole time. And was I remember vividly sitting there and told my roommate, and we were just both so stoked. Yeah, it was just an awesome experience to finally make it. So getting in here, I had these first shots, and it was kind of the start of the movie. Johnny had just transformed, and we're gonna have this big reveal of showing him. And I just had a simple shot of Drac walking in, and then over the shoulder, and then I had a shot of his eyes opening. Super simple, and I'm glad it was very simple, because it was such a different experience than TV. I was super lucky to get in there early, when like the teams are starting to form, and I hadn't really missed too much. And I got to see the process of the whole film taking place, and that you're building teams, you're assigning shots, and you can see the machine to start steamrolling forward. Got placed with Toby Peterson, absolutely killer lead, another Aussie. He's been with Sony for a long time, and he was just an absolute trooper. We had a seriously stacked team, and this sequence in particular, me and Tom Thistlethwaite, another Aussie that had come from Icon, we both had some shots in this sequence, and it was both of our first projects on feature, so it was cool to have someone to like have that back and forth with, of like, oh shit, what do we do? So that was awesome. Sammy Surplice had some really awesome shots in this sequence, as well as Tian Chen. And Kentaro had the big sort of reveal of Johnny Monster like crawling over the boxes, and it was awesome. It was an awesome little sort of first taste of getting into it, and learning there's so many tools and so many extra sort of pipeline tools and sculpting tools and modeling and learning how everything works, and it's the creative feedback sessions with rounds and dailies. It was such a learning experience. So to start on a super chill shot, which I thought would be chill, I mean it was, but I definitely learned that no matter how simple it is, it's gonna get changed. There's gonna be changes along the way. So it was a good learning process. And now I will get up and make sure the camera is still recording. So went through these ones, had a really good time, enjoyed it a lot, and then I got put onto the following sequence, which is the very first sequence of the movie, the song "Just the Two of Us," talking about Johnny, talking about Drac and Mavis and their time together, and then obviously you find out Johnny's part of it as well. Good coffee, and it's a scene where he's giving over the keys, and it's a flashback to Mavis as a kid, and we didn't really have a rig for Mavis as a kid. We did have a rig, but she'd only been seen in the first film, and she wasn't as stylized as they potentially wanted her, so we were tweaking a lot in animation. Me and Remus Lowe, I believe, were doing the sort of shots to make the face look perfect. And we both kind of were tweaking to make her look like as cute and doe-eyed as possible. But it was an awesome shot. It was a lot of fun, and some characters were changed along the way. There was a lot of timing things of figuring out when he dropped the key and how to get as much action as possible to happen in one sequence without it feeling like da 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 on the rhythm. Because it's key drop, stand back, zoom out, slam, throw, catch. So there was a lot of figuring out how to get that to not feel so like musically rhythmic, and break things up and have a bit more ebb and flow to what was happening. But awesome shot, awesome time. Then next up, I had another shot in that first sequence, but Toby gave me, after doing that first shot was a bit tricky and a bit of a long process. So he gave me a simple shot of Johnny squishing a hat down on a Drax head. So that was, it was one of the millions of things I learnt from Toby about how to be a great lead. Was casting your artists shots that they need when they need them. So I'd had that first two easy shots. I kind of got in the rhythm, figured things out. Then he gave me a bigger shot with a lot more going on, and it was definitely more of a struggle. You're going to learn on every shot, but it was a bit more of a struggle, and I was starting to kind of burn a bit. So he gave me this super easy one. It still took a bit of time, obviously, but it let me kind of refresh a bit, and I wasn't thinking so creatively all the time. It was a bit more kind of automatic to do it. So, and props to him. That was a good one. And then moved back onto that first sequence again, and this one was Mavis and a little broomstick. It was a cute shot. Again, there was a lot of things to get in, and a lot of action to get in as quick as possible, and not make it feel rhythmic. And yeah, it was a fun one. I got to get some like really good smears going and get her like swooping around, and it was a tricky one in terms of camera relation to the environment. So she's flying so fast. When does she? How did I even do it? I don't even know what I did here. So she swings up. Does she follow the camera? Yeah. So she leads the camera by one frame, and then it zips forwards and follows her. But as she's flying, she's got to move back in frame, because you want to, when the camera finally ends and it stops, if she's at the edge of frame, she's just going to ping off camera. So we had to have her fly and then float back in camera space, and then so you feel that like pow as she leaves. So that was pretty tricky to, that was something that we were looping a lot in rounds with, was getting that feeling of speed and momentum while also getting her to screen left, basically. And because you had to have her go to screen right to make her feel like she was moving fast. So that was a tricky one. And then having Drac leave, that was a really fun little. He's smeared in it. You can't really see a lot, but his face is really funny. I remember his face being amazing when he exits screen, and having him kind of like, and then have the suit of armor kind of sneeze at the dust. Another one of those like, how can we get it really quick? And that, it's a credit to the hotel style. Is I only had to have like 3 poses of the armor and then some extra secondary action, and then it read. Like you don't need a lot, and that helmet is definitely crashing. Definitely crashing. Yeah. Then another Toby savior hit me off with another one of the chill shots. Was bringing this kind of zipper up to his neck on his hat, his little hat strap. Definitely was all tweaks. No real controls on that at all. So I'm not going to look at that too closely because it makes me. Oh. Then we move on. We move on to the big one, WMH010. So this was, the last sort of shot of the film for me. It was supposed to not be this long. I remember getting it and Toby going like this is a big one, man. I think you can do it. This is a big one though. And I had some confidence behind me of getting, got relatively unscathed through the previous shots. And our whole team had some really heavy shots. I remember some of Dimmy and Sergei Shutko's shots were just like mammoth, with all this the bus scene with all the characters in the bus, and the suitcase. There was these big shots, so it wasn't necessarily a big shot, but it also was. But originally, it kind of cuts off when he hits his claws up. And I remember doing a first pass of kind of a rough blocking layout, and we were in rounds with the animation director Alan Hawkins, the professor of a little bit of that. If you don't understand that, you never will. Amazing dude. And he kind of looked at it and looked at the next shot, which was, didn't need to be 2 shots. It was just a camera angle and a switch of a camera angle. So it was a same as switch. So he kind of looked at me and went, hey, let's make this, why don't we make this 1 shot? What do you think of that? And I was like, yeah, man, let's do it. Why not? And he kind of chuckled to himself and chuckled at me, and he's like, all right, let's do it. And then it was a month. It was a month-long slog to get this one out. So, yeah, I still look back at it fondly, but it was just so big and such a big undertaking for a junior on his first film. But I had a lot of empty frames at the start, so that really helped kind of cutting off, because it was 21 seconds long in total, but had a lot of empty frames at the start. And then we also had we had 1 drawing from Gendy. So Gendy was kind of running the show in the first 3 films, and then slowly kind of stepped back, and he was more in like an executive producer sort of role. So he'd fully stepped back, and Alan was running the show with the other directors, Derek and Jen, and I had this one Gendy draw over. He did a few shots, and it was just I think it was like this pose, but he was more up like this, and he was just ferocious. This like super Gendy drawing, super ferocious and like heavy thick lines, and it was awesome. And that's kind of how we based the whole shot off. And you can kind of cut through and see the poses that I'd followed, but it was awesome. It's definitely just a grind. You just keep grinding. I remember showing Alan over and over and over and over again, and we'd lock down certain sections and then change certain sections, and eventually we figured out the best way to do it was to kind of get those poses looking really nice. The key sort of like claw poses and the different ways he held the claws in different angles, and then everything else was kind of working from there. That's the hotel style is really, really strong, snappy poses. So you just got to craft that pose beautifully, and then you just live within the pose. That's something that took me quite a while to figure out, so it wasn't necessarily a quick process or an easy process, but we got there in the end, and it was just awesome. It was an awesome shot. I shot so much reference for it to figure things out and kind of flesh things out, and I have just reference from here. I have reference when I was up in the Okanagan. It was a month-long slog, and when I got that approval, that was one of the most satisfying moments of my career, of any sort of career or any sort of job of any sort of accolade I've got. That was one of the bigger moments. Alan, we're all remote working, but Alan had his little applause button that he'd send off, and everyone would send clap emojis in the chat, and it was just an awesome experience. Alrighty, well that's it. That's all there is to say. I probably talked for far too long. But hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully will in the future. You enjoyed it. It was a great experience. Got some great learning lessons, and as some people in my life know, I like to hoard quotes and inspirational things and messages, and I filled up that wall of post-it notes, and it's still filling up with post-it notes of just so many little tidbits, little things that I hear leads say and directors and soups say, and it's just this big ball of knowledge, and hopefully one day I'm able to impart that knowledge onto other artists when I'm many years down the track, more senior. But until then, I'm just going to keep trying to learn and get better as much as I can. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time when I'm going to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. That's going to be a doozy. Hopefully we win the Oscar.